All right, here we go. Coming down in 3, 2, and 1. Gradey Dick continues to impress in the early part of the season as the injuries continue to pile up for the Raptors. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside The Raptors. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun, NBA, and Raptors writer Ryan Wolstat. And Ryan, we've talked a lot about Gradey Dick heading into this season, but so far in the first 12 games or so, it's definitely been one of the more impressive parts of this Raptors season. Gradey Dick with another 30-plus point effort. I know Sportsnet put on their broadcast that as far as players 20 and younger with 3-plus 30-point games in the team's first 12 games of a season, I know that's very specific parameters, but Gradey Dick, one of the few players in NBA history to do that, joining LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Bernard King. Not saying that he's in that stratosphere of player or that's where he's ultimately going to end up, but sort of gives you a sense of what he's been able to do so far this season. What do you think as far as his potential goes? Could we be possibly seeing here a guy that was a high draft pick, of course, but should the expectations change for what Gradey Dick might ultimately be?
I think it's fair to think that way. Like, as you said, a 13th pick, you think, okay, maybe if he hits, you can get a decent starter. Maybe if things go really well, you get a Devin Booker or someone of that ilk. Not sure if he'll ever be a Devin Booker. That's one of the best players in the league, but I think Dick has definitely already raised his ceiling considerably from what most would have expected. Certainly from what you would have seen early on last season when he just looked completely overmatched. As you said, he's only 20. He was only 19 last year. He was very frail till he went on that Raptors workout plan. But he's come back like just a different player. I think when you looked at him originally, you thought maybe this is a guy who's a great shooter. He's going to come off screens and just kill teams by nailing threes, nailing open jumpers when his teammates, attract all the pressure from the defense. Like, you just assume that there'd be better players around him attracting that attention and Dick would play off of it. But what I've seen is, yeah, he can do that, no problem. He's a great shooter and he's great at curling off screens, but he can actually create the offense for himself. Now he's got the gravity of opponents running at him, and not just because of so many players being out. Even when players are in, he's a guy that is being focused on just because, he's shown the ability. He can put it on the floor. I'm not sure many of us knew he could do that before he got drafted, even though he was really good in his 1 year at Kansas. He's shown better athleticism and enthusiasm, but more than maybe you expected. He already has more blocks this season than he did all last year. He's not afraid to mix it up defensively, and I think most people didn't expect that from him as well. So I think now the ceiling is, who knows? If he keeps this up, there's an all-star potential in there. And at worst, you're looking at a guy who's probably a really good starter, a really good offensive player with the potential to not hurt you too much defensively. And the Raptors badly needed a guy like that to hit at that point of the draft, late in the lottery.
Yeah, and this is a season, of course, where the Raptors are trying to get a lot of answers on some guys, whether it's a Gradey Dick, of course, or an RJ Barrett. But a lot of this right now is because of the injuries that this team is dealing with. You can throw Emmanuel quickly onto that list now. He was, of course, banged up in the early part of the season, but now he's dealing with a baseball injury as far as the torn UCL goes, a partially torn UCL. So we'll see what his status is when he's being reevaluated in about a week or so. But Scotty Barnes still out with that orbital fracture. Bruce Brown is out. Kelly Olynyk is out. Rookie Jacoby Walter is out. So you've got a lot of players here that are thrust into some bigger workloads. And if you're Darko Rajakovic, Ryan, how mindful do you have to be not to, wear these guys out in the first month of the season? Because as we just touched on, we're only a couple of weeks into the year. There's still a long way to go before this thing is over. So, what do you do if you're the coaching staff to make sure that your guys aren't completely out of gas by the time we get to, say, January 1st?
Well, I touched on this a bit on a piece following the loss in Milwaukee, that you just have guys that are playing outside of the expectations. They're playing way more minutes than they've ever played. I think I looked it up. Dick has already played. Dick and there was one other player, it's skipping my mind right now, has already played, I think, it's Chris Boucher. They've already played 30% of the total minutes they did all of last season. And we're, 3 weeks into the season? Not even. Like, it's crazy. You have RJ Barrett, who's starting to slump for the first time as a Raptor, who is being asked to, he usually plays 33 minutes a game in his career, but he's never played 30 minutes a game where he's like the top offensive option and expected to give a decent defensive effort as well. Like, Barrett not only has to score, but he also has to create it with quickly out because, Davion Mitchell's filling in, Jamal Shead playing some minutes, but like there's no high end point guard there. So Barrett needs to initiate a lot. You're missing the point forward creation of Scotty Barnes. So he's got to play more, and those minutes could catch up with him. They may have already. You have to think the minutes are going to catch up to Gradey Dick with all he's being asked as well. Davion Mitchell's playing way more than he has, like almost twice as much as he was doing per game in his last year in Sacramento. And Jakob Poeltl's playing a career high, and he's, as I said in the piece, he's facing the biggest, strongest players every night. That wear and tear, you think it's going to catch up to the Raptors, and they can't afford for anything else to go wrong. As he said, quickly has a baseball injury of all things. That's after he already had a thumb issue that hurt him in training camp, and then the bad fall in opening night that missed, and he just barely came back. Walter came back from his own shoulder issue, then went down again. Barrett was banged up. Barnes, of course, has that eye issue and is still probably at least a week away. So, yeah, they can't afford anything else to go wrong, because the longer they go without these guys, and you mentioned Olynyk and Brown not even playing yet, like those are guys that were supposed to play heavy minutes. And the longer it goes like this, the more danger is of other guys breaking down and of them just not, they've been in most of their games this season, unlike last year, but the more this piles up, the more chance they're going to start getting blown out and just like humiliated the way they did in so many games last year when everyone was out.
Yeah, the Raptors have been pretty scrappy so far this year, being competitive in a lot of games. But if this continues to trend the way it's going, you're going to be seeing a lot less competitive games from this team. But as always,
it's good for Cooper Flag fans or people who want someone like him in this draft. There's a lot of good. I mean, that's the only silver lining for all of this. There's a lot of guys out there that could really help moving forward.
What is the hashtag? Is it still fail for Flag? Is that where we're at right now?
Flag for Flag. There's, Pooper for Cooper. There's some other ones. I don't know how many of them I can say on the air, but there's a lot. People are getting pretty creative, and there's going to be a lot more because he already looks pretty good for Duke as advertised.
Yeah, that's definitely the crown jewel if the Raptors can ultimately land him, but still a long ways to go. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Ryan Wolstat, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.